Coming up, we're going to give you the rundown on everything that was announced at D23, and wow, it's a lot. This is going to be a big one. Well, as I said in the intro, D23 kind of blew our socks off here. So we're just going to get right into it. And my name is John, and I am one of your hosts, and I'm joined at the table virtually by my good friend, Jeff.
Hey, John. How are you, buddy?
I'm good, man. Can't complain.
Alyssa, are you out there?
I think she is.
There she is.
I'm still here.
She's still here.
This is my last episode for a little bit, but I'm super excited to announce our, I don't know what to call her, our guest host, our interim host, Alyssa Part 2. So welcome, Jen Winter.
I got that
We're not Jen Winter.
Jen Winter.
She got it.
I botched that.
That's okay. So yeah, well, after this, baby is gonna make her arrival in 19 or less days. But Jen is gonna she's been gracious enough to agree to come on and be a co-host while I'm out. So thanks, Jen.
She's been with us a lot. So I mean, we appreciate her, and she's an agent with Moments of Magic Travel. As always, though, we are brought to you by momentsofmagictravel.com. You can get your free, no obligation quote right here at momentsofmagictravel.com. So, man, I think we called it in the last episode, Alyssa. This was going to be a big D23. And, man,
I don't know about y'all, but they pleasantly surprised me when Josh Tamaro got up there and he said, guys, this is not blue sky. It was like, oh my God, has Disney actually been listening to the fans for the last 2 years? Because we all complained about all the blue sky stuff, but every single thing that they announced is for sure happening.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. They definitely listen to us. It might be selective at times, but they definitely do listen to the fans.
Yeah, and I think that was one of the takeaways that I watched. And I watch a lot of like Disney content, but like when they pointed out, like there will be shovels in the ground soon. There will be ground moved. This is definitely something that is definitely going to happen sooner than later. So
they announced things from starting next year with as early as the new test track to all the way through 2031 with the cruise ships. So I mean, there's everything in between. Some of these projects though seem like they're going to take a couple 3 years. So I think the biggest thing you guys are watching is you got to have a little patience, because it's not going to happen overnight. Some things will happen sooner than others, but man, there's a lot. You're right.
Yeah.
Where should we start? You want to go park by park or area by area?
Let's go park by park. So, because I think that, well, go ahead, Alyssa.
Well, I was going to say at our last episode, we did our predictions, which we were pretty spot on for quite a few of these.
Yeah.
And one of my predictions was that they were not going to focus so much on Walt Disney World, which I was apparently very wrong, but my prediction was that they were going to do a lot for Disneyland, which they did. But like one of the very first things was talking about the 70th anniversary next year. So, and like they didn't give us really too many details or too much of a look into it. But it did seem like they had some things brewing that are going to be coming up to celebrate that.
Yeah.
So if you guys want to kind of go into, let's start with Disneyland and California Adventure, because there was a good
let's do that. You kind of already alluded it's their 70th anniversary, so there's going to be, am I breaking up a little bit?
Nope, you're good.
Okay. Yeah, 70th anniversary. So they announced that. I think one of the first things that's kind of considerable is that they are going to bring Avatar over to Disneyland. I don't know, from watching it, it sounds like it's going to be more related to the movie 2, maybe The Way of Water. But they're going to be bringing Avatar Land from some of the studying I did. It's going to be a little bit different than Animal Kingdom's version in Florida. So that's kind of cool. I mean, I just saw James Cameron signed on for the next 2 or 3 movies yet. So the old guy is going to be around a while. So I'm looking forward to that. What about you guys?
Yeah, I think it's going to be very interesting because I read the same that it's going to be similar to the second movie and pieces from the new third movie. And I'm glad to see that they're creating a little bit of variation, that not all things are going to be the same at each park. So I'm really see that. I think that's going to be exciting.
100%, because I feel like I don't want to go to Disneyland just for the same thing that I can get at Disney World and vice versa. Yeah. So I think it's cool that you are still getting Pandora, but a different part of it. It's going to be a totally different ride, which again, we didn't fully understand. It looks almost like a boat ride like they have in Pandora, but it's going to be wilder, it sounds like. Yeah. So no, Pandora's not really Avatar is not really like my favorite like IP that they have, but I still think like Pandora and Animal Kingdom was amazing, so I'm sure that this is gonna be amazing too.
I love the movies. The problem is I watch those movies, I'm exhausted at the end because movies are so long and there's just so much going on. It's just mentally, but they done a great job in Animal Kingdom. I don't see why it's going to be anything less than spectacular in California.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm honestly excited for the just what they're going to do here differently. I do think I'm trying to find a quote that Josh Tomorrow had where he and this is kind of what I pulled off earlier. He's like, at Disney experiences, Imagineers dream, create, and build these stories into real places. And we have Imagineers in place all around the world because everything we're going to share with you is in active development. Plans are drawn. Dirt is moving. I just want to be clear about this. We are doing everything you're going to hear tonight. So this is all part of the Disneyland Forward thing. And maybe we could even do a show on that because there's a lot of different, so many different things that are going to be added to Disneyland now. It's essentially going to be an entirely new, I don't want to say new park because I haven't really read up into it, but they're adding pretty much a substantial amount of space. So it will be essentially a different park. So
and most everything from what I recall most everything they announced for Disneyland is going in California Adventure, which I think was also smart because it's very easy to spend 2-3 days in Disneyland, but I could probably do 1 day in California Adventure and get most everything done. So I think expanding that park in particular is was a really smart move. And we all kind of knew that the Avatar Land was coming. That was something rumored anyway. But do you guys know the one thing that I feel like 0 people knew about that they announced for Disneyland?
The new stuff being added to Avengers Campus, because
so we knew there was an Avengers Campus expansion, and we knew that there was the one ride, right, that was going to have Thanos. I think we all knew that. But then they threw that other curveball. So when Tony Stark is coming back in a way, right? For that.
Yes.
Oh yeah, as Dr. Doom.
Well, yes, but he even is revitalizing Iron Man too for that new ride that they
yeah. Sorry. Yeah, duh. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yes. I mean, Dr. Doom was a big thing too. No, but I feel like,
and that wasn't even announced at D23. That was at Comic-Con.
Right.
Oh, that's right.
When he announced Dr. Doom.
But I don't know. They had that picture of Bob Iger and I was gonna say Tony Stark. What's his name? Doing
Robert Downey Jr.
Thank you. Yes, I was blanking on it. Test driving this ride, and it I don't even know how to describe it. It looks so unique. There's nothing like it anywhere.
Yeah, Stark Flight Lab is what they're calling it.
Stark Flight Lab is the official name of it.
Yep.
So
and then to go right along with it, Avengers Infinity Defense, which is going to be the 2 big attractions there at California's Adventure.
Which
I haven't even been to the current version of Avengers Land yet.
It's so good.
So
It's like, even though it doesn't have much there, just you walk in and you see Mission Breakout to the left, and then you see the Avengers like campus building, and it's just so much fun. Yeah. So,
but this is going to be a giant expansion to like include all this stuff. Like I think Avengers Campus is not going to be considered small. Like you walk through it pretty quickly. It's gonna have what, four? It's gonna have 4 total attractions, right? If you include Mission Breakout, Web Slingers, now these 2 new ones. And like I think it's just they have to then expand on all of the characters that they have out. Like I saw Moon Knight was out there recently.
Yeah.
Deadpool's been out lately.
Deadpool and Wolverine. Yeah.
Deadpool's been amazing out there. Like they need to keep Deadpool there.
Which, if you guys didn't watch the live stream, Deadpool made a very entertaining appearance at D23 as well. And just like the fact that they let him make the jokes that we all joke about, but like a Disney exec would never say. Even something as simple as like the dragon catching on fire, or he made fun of Josh Merrill literally wears the same thing every single time he's up on that stage. And like Deadpool pointed it out, and I thought that was great. So he kept it, PG for everybody too.
That was great.
Yep.
Any other thoughts on Avengers Campus? I think
I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing.
I just can't wait.
Let's hope it doesn't take 6 years to build.
Yeah, I would say I'd be surprised if any of the 2 new rides are done by the end of 26. I don't know. I mean, that's a lot.
27. Yeah.
27 maybe even, summer 27. That's the one thing that was a little frustrating. They didn't give us timelines. It was just like, these are coming. So now us podcasters and fans get to make the guesses, and they get to sit there and
they didn't release dates, but man, did they release some details after the presentation, like when everything was like done and over with. Because we'll touch on some not so subtle bombs that were dropped when we get to the other parks. So,
but we're not even done with Disneyland yet.
Disneyland, there's still we've got a new Coco attraction coming.
Yep. Coco
that's
ride.
Going to be awesome. I can't wait to see what that is all about. Apparently,
they didn't really...
after he gets his powers and like the continuation of that story. So it's going to be great.
Yeah, that was one of the only ones they didn't really have a rendering of. It was just kind of a Miguel with his guitar and his leg there in a little video tease. And, but
I love for what it seems like. It's gonna be like a classic Disneyland boat ride, but like Coco themed was the vibe that I got.
Oh
so,
man, I'm bummed they didn't bring that to Epcot and retheme the 3 Caballeros. But
that would have been
would have been smart.
But they did spread like you said, all over the place, including the international parks, which we'll get to in a little bit. But we're not done there yet. One of my favorite things that they announced that I was extremely excited about. I don't know. I'm a geek. I love history. I love going to see the Meet Mr. Lincoln attraction up there in the front. But they're finally going to bring an animatronic of Walt Disney himself, which I think is incredibly awesome.
Yes.
Because I sit there and just my mouth open and look at the Lincoln one all the time when I'm at Disneyland. It's so realistic that Walt Disney's going to be the next level, and they're going to take so much care making sure it is too.
Yeah, that's going to be amazing.
Yeah, I can't wait for that.
And if you guys didn't hear too, it's going to alternate with Mr. Lincoln, so you're not totally losing it for the people who are a little more nostalgic and really appreciate that. So I think they said it's going to be Walt primarily like for the 70th anniversary. That is coming next year, but then once it becomes a normal thing, it's going to alternate.
And I wonder how they're going to do that. I wonder if it's like you stand on one line for Lincoln and one line for Walt. That's going to be interesting. Or if it's going to be, I don't know, like, Magic Kingdom when you're on Carousel of Progress, where you're just going to rotate to the different rooms.
I think it is a carousel. I think they're going to just everything I've heard is that it's a carousel, and then it will be every other show will be Mr. Lincoln, and then
so maybe Walt. Like the stage itself flips or something. Yeah.
Yep.
That would be cool. Very cool.
Looking at the list here, I don't think there's anything. Oh wait, Tiana's ride they did announce is going to open November 15th.
That's probably the soonest announcement that they had. Yeah.
Hopefully they learned from some of the growing pains at Disney World that one doesn't suffer some of the early issues that Disney World had.
We didn't even get to talk about like our recent trip because right after this D23, and I'm like,
yep.
Man, like a lot of the stuff that they like brought in, we'll get that to a later episode, I think. So,
and then I think the last thing, which kind of crosses over with Star Wars Land in Florida too, is they're going to have a Mando and Grogu inspired addition to Smuggler's Run.
Mm-hmm.
So I would think that's going to be both parks. They didn't announce that formally, but they just said, coming to Smuggler's Run, and they have it in both, Disneyland and Disney World. So I would think it'll be both places.
Yeah.
I'm really glad they're doing that because I feel like unless you knew how to activate Chewie mode, it really was the same story every single time you went on it. A little different just depending on who's driving, right? But like for the most part, it's the same thing. So
and I wonder if it's 6-year-olds drive.
And I wonder if it's going to be like Chewie mode where you have to do something special to get into Mando and Grogu.
Yeah, or if it just is an option.
Just as an option. So that'll be kind of cool. That kind of goes along with, and I know we're not talking about this today, but the day before all the park announcements, they announced a lot of the movie stuff, and they did announce the Mandalorian, and Grogu movie coming out, which as a Star Wars geek, that excites me. So
that's amazing. Yeah, I am super excited. Camp Endor.
There you go. I just finished watching last night. I've been late to the game. I just finished watching The Acolyte, and I don't understand all the hate for that. I thought it was amazing. So. I really enjoyed it.
I have a lot of shows to binge on maternity leave. So those.
Oh yeah.
I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. I didn't understand why people were complaining. I thought it was great. So it kind of reminded me. I don't know if you guys get into the show Cobra Kai, where you actually kind of like Johnny now as you kind of like him in the original movies. You hated him. That's kind of what The Acolyte does. It kind of makes you. Maybe the Sith wasn't all so bad after all. So it really kind of messes with your mind a little bit. So, but all right. So do we want to move over to Florida now?
Let's do it.
We got lots to cover. To cover.
Well, like Alyssa said earlier, Florida definitely got a lot of love. Let's start with the one that I was the most excited about. Maybe being a Monsters Inc. dork myself, I was really excited about. They're going to have not only a Monsters Inc. ride, which I think is cool, a suspended coaster coming to Disney World, period. I think it's the first suspended coaster they got, but they're actually doing a Monsters Inc. land, which is going to be included at Hollywood Studios. That really excited me. That was the coolest thing. I'm not sure where they're going to put that because, if they get rid of my Muppets area, I'm going to revolt. But
we were talking about that earlier, and we're thinking the maybe animation courtyard over by the Star Wars launch bay might be the spot for that because it's kind of not super busy. They can't get rid of Muppets. I mean, that's
people will riot, and I think that like there are some people like on the Disney fan community that will just post things just to elicit reaction, and I think that was up there, I think, with that. I don't think they're going to get rid of Muppets because that's a cast member thoroughfare back there. So I don't really think
Jim Henson's a national treasure, man. He's up there with Mr. Rogers, man. I mean,
right.
I just don't, I agree. I don't see them dropping anything of the Muppets, especially since they just redone the restaurant, and they redid that whole area back there. That area does have some dead spots. You guys remember the old Muppet store back there that had the home improvement stuff way back in the day, Binford tool shirts and all that. That hasn't opened since way before COVID. I don't think Mama Melrose's is the most popular restaurant, so I could see them. But it makes sense what you said, Jen. Maybe back there in Launch Bay. But then again, you got the Animators building back there too. What are they going to do with that? Because that's like right in the middle back there. Yeah. They did just redo the Little Mermaid show. It just hasn't opened yet, but they announced that's opening. That's kind of back in Animation Courtyard, although they're independent buildings. I just don't know where they're going to put it, but we'll find out.
My hunch is that they are going to do that, but they're still going to keep Little Mermaid. They're going to keep like the Disney Junior, and then it's just going to be beyond that because then they could find some way to create an opening to the Pixar Toy Story area because then it's all Pixar. Like it'll be a whole
that
Pixar
would be
area.
Great. That is like
makes
one of the
sense.
hardest parts to navigate about Hollywood Studios is that area, trying to figure out how to get from Toy Story Land to like there's no direct access.
And if you think about it, they could go the other way too, Alyssa, and they could connect it to, Lightning McQueen, where you meet the what is that called? The
Racing Academy.
Racing Academy back there behind Aerosmith Rock and Roller Coaster, because that's kind of a dead area too, a dead part of the park. In that
There's
corner.
so much space that they can expand to, so I definitely think that they don't take away Muppets. If you do, I'm blaming Chapek. So.
But it wouldn't make sense though to have another Pixar thing on the other side of the park too, on the other side of Galaxy's Edge. Like it would make sense to try and keep all the Pixar stuff right there if they can. Yeah. So like even like I feel like the Rock and Roller Coaster building is probably huge. So trying to get from Lightning McQueen around that, but maybe they are demolishing whatever the heck is behind there to create this whole Monsters Inc. land. So I don't know. Did anyone else feel like Billy Crystal coming out and announcing this was like total left field though? Like no one expected it.
Yeah.
I thought it was great.
No, it took me by surprise. It took me by total surprise because think about it, Hollywood Studios has really went through a transformation. Next to Epcot, probably the biggest park to go through a transformation at Disney World over the last 5 to 7 years. For them to get this much love again right away, that surprised me. Me too. But you think about it, 3 of the 4 parks, significant things were announced for. The only park that didn't get a lot announced for was Epcot. Other than Test Track, Test Track's going to be opening in 25. They said the version 3.0.
Yeah.
I would love 1.0 to have a shout out in there. That's still my favorite version.
I agree 100%.
I have to say though, I was watching this live stream of D23 and I was not. There were hundreds of people who agree with me that Figment needs an overhaul, and so many people were like commenting like, where is it, Josh? Like, where's the announcement about Figment? And like nothing.
Well, John's been saying they just got to fix the things that are broken in Figment. There's so many things not working in it.
I mean, maybe make the track so not so noisy. I think that would be a start, right?
No,
like
they gotta bring the fart spray back, man. I mean, what's Figment without the fart spray?
Right.
They haven't had that working right. But
just put a room full of basset hounds in there. That's all you need.
Yeah.
So Hollywood really though was Monsters Inc. and then the Grogu Mando thing.
That was really the only thing. Yeah, that was really it for Hollywood Studios. Which you just alluded to. We touched on that for Disneyland. They're going to be updating Smuggler's Run with an alternate story for Mandu and Grogu. So let's, because we kind of segue to it, let's just kind of stick with Epcot. There was one other thing that they announced for Epcot other than the opening of Test Track. There's going to be a new lounge that's coming to Epcot, which is going to be themed after Spaceship Earth, which I thought was kind of just random, because there's so many things that they could have associated with, like a Guardians of the Galaxy lounge would have made more sense to me. That would have been awesome. Think about all the great scenes in those movies where they're in a bar or something like that,
Right? I know, that would have been perfect.
That would have been perfect, but they're doing it off of Spaceship Earth. I don't know.
Well, they have all that space. They have that sponsored lounge area. Yeah. And there are people that will, if you look at the popularity of Space 220 and Space 220 Lounge, there will be people that will go there for a drink.
So where do you think it's going to be? Do you think it's going to be in the Spaceship Earth building, where the kids play around at the bottom down there, with all their little interactive games?
There's actually, I think there's a second story lounge. I think there's an actual, let me look on Parks blog and see if I can find.
I guess I didn't realize that.
I didn't realize that either. That's very interesting. But, I do see people in the interactive area somewhat, but I don't think it's ever very busy. And that would be a great spot for it.
That's where my mind went then. Yeah, that's where my mind went right there to the interactiveness, because other than little kids, it's an area for the parents to sit in the ground, catch up on their emails and in the air conditioning.
Yeah,
it's a little outdated games and stuff.
I'm sharing this directly from Parks blog, just so we have the credit on there. But this is basically what they say. So, during the Horizons Experience Showcase, Josh called in Darren, Chris, and Skylar Austin to rapid fire some exciting updates set to catchy and theatrically appropriate tunes, blah, 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 blah. It doesn't really say where it is, but I'm 99% sure there is a second floor above, whatever that's called. It's not Odyssey. What is it called? God, that's gonna bother me.
Epcot has a lot of second floor things that we just never get to go to. Like I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
So like the aquariums have a second floor like blocked off space like above Coral Reef, and then I'm pretty sure Test Track has a second floor where people host things. There's something else over by Spaceship Earth that has a second floor where they have like host weddings and stuff. So it could be any of those spaces.
Yeah.
Where instead of just a private.
Test Track's got a private lounge up there for all the GM and
Chevrolet.
Right.
And
so they have a lot of private lounges, so it would make sense for them just
and Club 33 open lounges in all 4 parks now. So there's there's those as well, that are kind of unadvertised lounges just for the Club 33 members. But I'm pretty sure that takes care of Epcot. There wasn't. I mean, Epcot obviously was the most recent park to go through the most drastic renovations. I mean, I'm jacked about being there in a few weeks and not seeing any black walls anymore.
I know.
I think they're all down now.
I will say that area where they tore down the walls, as far as Communicore Hall and everything like that, is really nice. Like they have, I forgot, it's right by Moana, but they have, where they have a band. It's like festival. What is it called? Festival. Man, what the heck?
There's a stage there, right? Like an alternate stage.
Yeah, and it was great. It was, just a way to it's one of those things where I think they just they know that Epcot is the festival park, right?
Yeah.
So they're gonna try to take away from all the countries and kind of eliminate some of the traffic and put some of the festival stuff there to get people, who go there and have their little drinky drinks. To be in one focused area. So,
and John, you were just there, and I know online that Communicore Hall is getting a lot of little hate because they say it looks like a college. They're
not wrong.
It looks like a college. I don't know, hallway. For all the flags and stuff. But in fairness, there's not a festival going on at the moment, right? Or
it was really weird being there without a festival going on.
I would think
really weird.
Yeah, I would think when Food and Wine starts here in a couple weeks, that Communicore Hall is going to take on a different look. I would assume it's going to, and that's really what that was built for, was for festivals.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I'll be there in early September, so I'll report back from there. But that's it for Epcot. Epcot didn't really have any other announcements. Let's move over to Animal Kingdom. We'll save Magic Kingdom for last.
Because Magic Kingdom
on that. Yeah, I got some thoughts on that. We'll go there in a second. But Animal Kingdom, actually, there was some significant things announced and some more subtle ones. We'll start with the subtle ones. I'm a little disappointed. We're gonna have to say goodbye to. It's A Bug's Life. It looks like here in the very near future. That was confirmed with the new...
I am not disappointed. I hate that.
Oh man, one of my and I might be morbid for it, but one of my favorite things about A Bug's Life is I loved seeing all these parents dragging their little kids in there and them freaking out. That was one of my favorite things.
Zootopia might be similar. It's still animals. They could keep the same seats with bugs crawling under your butt and stuff. So
yeah, they definitely could.
Was not a fan. In fact, I figured out where they squirt, and so I just put my hands over it because I'm like, all right, yeah, no, I don't want any part of this. The person I was with really enjoyed it, but I'm like, no.
Oh man, when those spiders come down from the ceilings, those little kids lose their minds and their parents
awesome. I love that attraction. I always thought it was great when my kids were little. That was just, they requested, well, number one, the queue, going through and just identifying all the animals on the tree, which is just ridiculously cool. But
and like you, Jen, I loved it too because my kids grew up going into that. You know,
Yeah.
it was more nostalgic for me because my kids were of the age when A Bug's Life was coming out. We had
Yeah.
all the little encyclopedia books for them, and
Yep.
so it's just more nostalgic for me. But I'm sure, you know, I've come to love a lot of the changes that Disney's made over the years.
So
I
And
still
things have to be updated from time to time. I
Well,
mean,
they
it
do.
just it has to happen. So
my butt still hurt a little bit about Splash Mountain, but you know, I'll miss that forever. But anyways,
yeah,
that's the first.
we'll touch on some of the changes that we'll do that in a later episode. We'll talk about all the changes.
Yeah.
We'll definitely do that at a later point.
The next thing that they announced that was pretty significant for Animal Kingdom, there's going to be an Encanto ride coming, right?
Yes.
I'm thrilled because they took my idea of going
Yes, they
through
did.
Antonio's room because that just sounded perfect, and they actually are doing it. But not just Antonio's room; it's going through everybody's room. Like I almost wonder if we're gonna get to see the other Madrigal family's rooms that we never got to see. Like I think that would be really, really cool. But it made perfect sense to go through Antonio's room since he talks to animals and all that stuff. So
for sure. Any idea where they might put the Encanto ride? I'm guessing it's going to be back there in the old Dinoland somewhere, or
it's going to be. That's where the whole Tropical Americas area is going to go.
Yeah.
That's going to be the new dinosaur or the new Indiana Jones ride. Yes, I called it. But I am so excited for that, and it's going to be completely different than the one out in California. Which
same ride system though, same ride. I don't
ride
expect the ride
system,
to
but like different story. I am here.
Different story. Yep.
I'm sorry that
I'm okay with that area changing back there because I remember, you know, when Animal Kingdom opened up, going there saying, man, this feels like a carnival back here. And I know that's what they were going for.
Yeah,
they were going for that carnival in your local shopping mall's parking lot feel. But that cement down there just radiated so much heat with that blacktop.
It was rough.
It was rough back there.
Although I do miss Triceratops Spin. I love that ride. That was the best.
Yeah. But I'm so glad that they're replacing it with another kid-friendly ride because no one also knew about the new carousel that's coming. And the horses are famous Disney animals. So like they previewed one that was going to be Kevin from Up is going to be one. But if you zoom into the picture, you can see other ones. Like you can see there's a lot of Jungle Book characters. I think that like Dumbo was one, like just a bunch of different Disney animals that end up being the horses instead, which I think is really cool. Awesome. And they're doing it where it's not going to look brand new. It's going to have the same feel of the rest of Animal Kingdom, kind of like a weathered look, which I think is actually really cool. Like it's not going to look old. It's just going to look like it fits. Into Animal Kingdom.
Like it's been there.
Yep. And then John alluded to kind of the last major announcement, the Indiana Jones ride is going to be taking over for the dinosaur ride. Have you guys been on the Indiana Jones ride at Disneyland in the past?
I love it. I love it. I went out of my way to ride that thing multiple times. It's good. Just the scene with the fire. I'm like, oh, let's go. Yeah. It was so good.
Yeah. And Alyssa, you've been on Dinosaur obviously hundreds of times, and it's basically the same ride, same system. But like they said, they're going to be giving it a different storyline, so it's not going to be identical to California. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
One thing they did not say anything about this, and maybe it is going away just based off of the pictures that I saw where the casita is and stuff, but they didn't say anything about the dino playground, like and the boneyard and stuff.
Yeah,
like,
the boneyard.
I almost kind of hoped that they still kept that, but transformed it into Indiana Jones, but it's nowhere in the rendering. So my thinking is that they're completely getting rid of it to make room for all the other stuff.
It's kind of closer to the Encanto area than it is the ride.
Right.
So they could they could transform it into some type of area, that play area for kids that's Encanto themed. You know?
I just think taking Trip this past time, we spent a long time there. And so like Animal Kingdom does not have a ton for little kids to do. And I'm kind of hoping that the Encanto ride does not have a height requirement, so that like little kids can go on it. But like if they get rid of that playground, it just makes me wonder, okay, I really hope they have like another play area.
It's funny, your playground for Trip was probably me and Jen's playground over at Hollywood Studios, the Honey I Shrunk.
Oh, I
area.
love that playground.
But
when I was
see,
a kid.
here's where I stand on that.
Yeah.
Like, I would see something like that, and whoever the kids I would be with, I would like do my best to like steer them away from that, because that
Oh,
is an
man.
all day thing. Like,
Man, no, I would,
No.
me and my wife would go in there, take my little kids. I would sit down, and next thing I know,
Yeah.
my wife Dana's climbing up there too, and all the
It
stuff with
was
the kids.
fun. It was fun.
Yeah.
It was a
Yeah.
cool area.
And it was kind of shaded back there too, so it didn't get real hot back there, even though it was
Right.
outside. So
Mhm.
yeah, I do agree with you, Alyssa. They need more of those little play areas. So hopefully they keep that and maybe retheme it into the Encanto so it flows in there, because they could do a number of things, with that area that's
for
that's
sure.
related.
I
So
hope so.
anything I missed for Animal Kingdom? That was pretty much it,
That's it.
right?
The only thing I did expect them to announce, and they didn't, was a new nighttime show for Animal Kingdom.
Yeah,
So when they started with their whole nighttime spectacular area, I was really hoping they were going to bring something, and they just didn't. And they haven't done anything with the lakes since Kite Tales,
I
and
know.
they had, what was that show before?
Rivers of
called?
Light. Before
Rivers of
Yeah,
Light.
I loved
Yeah.
that show, and so
That- That area is nothing more than just a resting area, and people are going to rest. They're going to do it when it's not blazing sun hot, because that's a baking area too.
Yeah.
Yeah. That I would really hope they do bring a show to that. I was disappointed too.
So my hunch is going to be that all these things are not going to be done until 2027. So my hunch is D23 in 2026. Maybe they will announce what's going to come the following year along with all this stuff opening. Because at least like a nighttime show, I would expect is not going to take as long.
Absolutely.
So
Right.
But speaking of nighttime shows, and we'll segue nicely into Magic Kingdom.
this was my favorite announcement, probably.
Yes,
the whole
they
night.
did announce a nighttime show. I think it was going to be called Sparks or something of that nature, or I don't remember the exact name of it.
No. Disney Starlight.
Starlight. That's what it is. But they're going to have a nighttime parade, and when I hear that, I think of the parade that we all hope would come back. The Main Street light parade, but I can imagine there'd be elements of that. But obviously they're probably going to do some drones in it too. I would imagine. I think anything is possible.
I think it looks like a 2025 version of the Main Street Electrical Parade. Like it looks like it's just updated, sleek, but it's going to essentially be the same thing. It's going to be things lit up.
There you go.
Yeah.
This does look good. Just a question, because I don't remember when I went. When they had the electrical parade, when did they do fireworks with this? Is it like
there were 2 parades and the fireworks would be in between them?
Yep.
Nice.
One before, one after.
So Main Street's gonna be fun to navigate. Let's just put it that way.
Well, yeah,
But
you
don't
would
you-
pick you would, if you had to do the first parade, you would pick your spot knowing that was probably also your spot for fireworks. Like maybe you could go into the streets a little bit, but you were pretty much staying there. So, but when I was a kid, we would always try to do the second show, because then we would watch the fireworks, go haul over to Frontierland and pick a spot in Liberty Square and that whole area to watch the parade, because that's where the parade started.
Right.
So, and then we'd go after the parade went through, then we'd go do Thunder Mountain and do some rides before the park officially closed. So,
and don't you guys think with what they're doing at Disney Springs, they're probably going to bring some drones over to that too? Or I don't know.
I would hope so. I mean, that's such a big, that's a huge addition to any show. I mean, people love that stuff. So
and I'd be surprised if they don't extend the one at Disney Springs past. I think it's only going through Labor Day weekend.
Oh wow!
Yeah, we thought they might have something.
I did get to see some of the drone show. It looked really cool. I didn't get to see the whole thing, but it was really neat.
They're bringing in a whole new economy with that, because people stay and they're selling drinks, and those Disney Springs in that area, from the pictures I've seen, is really packed. And people are staying later, more people at night. So I would be surprised if they don't extend that as a permanent show. I'd be surprised.
Yeah.
But we're getting close to Labor Day and no announcements.
I have to say, though, when we did our prediction show, I thought it was a far stretch predicting that they would bring back the Main Street Electrical Parade. And when they actually announced it was brand new, like inspired by the Main Street Electrical Parade, I was like floored. Like I was like, all right, I don't have to watch the rest of the show. Like I'm good. Like I was really, really happy.
Hey, I would give you the, you were dead on. It's happening. I mean, it might not be the same show, but it's inspired by it.
I'm so excited.
That's great.
Yep.
So do we want to move over to the big
the big one?
Somewhat controversial, but exciting news.
Controversial to me because I got some ideas what they could have done better, but it I don't know. I saw a meme the other day.
So there's two. There's two. Which one are we going with here? Because
we're gonna go with Frontier.
Frontier might be not
Frontier. Yeah, Frontier removing
Tom Sawyer Island. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I saw a meme the other day. It was from a movie with Samuel Jackson, and he's like, "Say Frontierland again," because it's such an iconic part of the park. You know, my son was worried that they're gonna, you know, where the bears are, that whole street that they were gonna mess with, and it doesn't look like they're going to from the rendering. It's like that's the border of it, but to be, you know, to cut right to it. Rivers of America, the boat, and Tom Sawyer Island seems like they're on the chopping block.
Yeah.
I can't say I'm hard, man. Like the riverboat is nostalgia for me. Like that is just what I like remember from back in the 90s. That was the one thing that I enjoyed. But man, like
I guess I'm not terribly upset that they're changing it because it is kind of, it's not as visited, the island and such.
It's a lot.
I'm surprised what they're replacing.
And you can't even get accessibility back there. You know, if you know, like.
I agree with
you. Well, they've had a lot of that closed off for a long time. I mean, Tom Sawyer was closed off itself for a couple years with COVID, and they have never opened that concession area back there in so many years, and it's just it's underutilized, and not a lot of people get back there.
I think they missed the boat. I think, no pun intended, but they literally could have put a Tiana's restaurant over there on the island and had you shuttled over on a boat. That would have flowed so nicely.
That would have been a great idea. Yeah.
Yep.
But again, they've done a very good job not just repeating what is on the other coast. So, and I think that if I get, as a travel agent, if I get a number one question of like, where can my kids see fill in the blank, it is most often cars. And there is almost nothing at Walt Disney World. There, I would say Art of Animation or the Racing Academy at Hollywood Studios. So I do think that they are playing to what the people want. So it's just, I'm a little skeptical because it's not Radiator Springs. It's just something totally new and different.
Yeah. And I think kind of where I stand and where I've seen a lot of logistical complaints are, okay, you're putting the same ride system as Radiator Spring Racers, but if you look at what Test Track is, Test Track shuts down a lot because of weather. So they're going to be losing a lot of ride time because, don't get me wrong, I think it's going to be great. I loved Cars Land when I was out in California, but I think that you need to think, okay, so we get a downpour, we're going to be shut down for an hour. You know, where are our guests going to go? That's kind of, I don't know.
Well, in California, I mean, every single one of their rides is an outdoor in Cars Land. You've got the Mater ride, you've got the Luigi's dancing cars, and then the what they call it, Radiator Springs Racers, yeah. And so all three of those are all outdoor things, but they also making a Cars Land with all the other different like shops and little restaurants and the Cozy Cone with all of the different, there's so many things that they can still do. That
there's so much detail on Cars Land that like is just, it's so much fun to walk through. It's just like one of those things. Go ahead, Jeff.
I just think they missed an opportunity to really bring Tiana's ride into the forefront, you know, with it being right next to it that way, and maybe doing the cars on the Tomorrowland Speedway. doing some type of retheming over there.
Oh yeah, that would have been a good idea.
I don't get me wrong. I'm all for the changing of the island and all that stuff. I don't know how that's going to flow with Frontierland, but I guess Radiator Springs has a frontier feel to it. I'm sure the Imagineers would do something wonderful. I just think it would have been awesome to put a restaurant, Tiana's restaurant, and have you boated over there or something like that on the island. So,
I will say if you watch D23 when Josh did announce the Cars Land, there was kind of like a brief silence, like while people processed it, because I think when he first announced it, we all thought this was beyond Big Thunder because they had not announced yet that it was going to be the Tom Sawyer Island area, and so we were like, oh, you didn't tell us any of that in your Blue Sky stuff from 2 years ago. And so we were all just so confused, not disappointed necessarily, I think just confused. And so it wasn't until later, the very end of the show.
2 days later that they dropped the bomb that Rivers of America and Tom Sawyer Island was. So and I think that was kind of, I think what upset most of the community was just that they're eliminating these two classic attractions that rarely anybody visits. So they're probably thinking expansion in land traffic. So,
but they're saying that this plus the last thing that they announced, which we'll get to, this is the biggest expansion in Magic Kingdom Park history, even bigger than the Fantasyland and Circus area.
Yes.
So, and you see how big that is. This is going to be massive. And I really think it's going to totally change how Magic Kingdom is, completely. So, but again, if you watch the D23, I thought they did so good making this just a performance. It wasn't just an hour and a half of announcements. It was like a whole performance. And Josh Tamara literally was wrapping up saying okay, well, I hope you guys enjoyed, blah, blah, blah. And then that's when the magic mirror on the wall came up. And you could hear that entire, 30,000 people took a breath and started screaming because they all knew what was coming. Yeah. And I thought that was so, and the crowd, I don't know that I've ever heard a crowd at D23 go as wild as they did when he did officially announce that Villains Land was coming.
Well, and I've said this line before, but that was Disney told my limoncello margarita to Universal, because this is what the theme park community has wanted. This is what the Orlando theme park community has wanted, and they delivered it. From what I understand, there's going to be 2 e-ticket attractions and maybe one ride for and restaurants,
and shopping.
Yes, please. Yes, and shopping. This will be, and from everything I've heard, it's going to be kind of dark. It's not going to be the candy coated villainy that you're accustomed to at Halloween. It might be a little scary because it's Villains Land. So
I think it's going to be like dinosaur scary, at Animal Kingdom. I think it's not going to be dark in the sense of creepy or getting in your head, more of a mental game. I think it's just going to be it's just kind of scary, if that makes sense.
It's going to be Disney scary, not Universal scary.
Right. Universal's their new Wolf coaster looks terrifying, and I don't know how I'm gonna get on it. But I agree. I think it's gonna be Disney scary where I can handle it. Dinosaur Animal Kingdom. I get scared.
It's not gonna be Diagon Alley. It's gonna be a little bit different. But I still think it's gonna be blow your socks off amazing.
And then this is the official Beyond Big Thunder. This is not replacing anything. This is adding on to the park, probably in what we think are just cast member areas right now. So,
well, I would think on Big Thunder where you kind of just hit a wall there, it's kind of like a dead space. That's probably going to be the area that it expands back into, would be my guess. What do you guys think?
Yeah,
I think so. And I hope there's a couple ways to get through there, because it is kind of bottlenecky back there. As you're walking over the bridge to Tiana's, and it feels kind of tight right there. I hope that there's maybe, because that's when the parade comes out. The parade comes out there, so maybe there's a way you could access around the back or around the side, because you catch the boat for Tom Sawyer's right over there, and how are they gonna open that up is a good question.
They could open it up back over by Haunted Mansion too. That's kind of the other angle from that back, They could open it back there. But
so is there anything that they go ahead, Jeff.
I was gonna say I'm sure that they'll make it at least 2, if not 3 entrances into Villains Land, I guess. They're not gonna make it just one, because that will be bottlenecky.
It would there would have to be.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up here, is there anything they didn't announce? I mean, they announced a lot. We didn't even touch on the overseas parks.
And we can buzz through them really quick, but there's still one more thing at Magic Kingdom that we didn't talk about. There's going to be a Pirates of the Caribbean lounge coming to the to Magic Kingdom, which is probably going to be on the same level as the one at Epcot they announced.
Yeah, so that's probably going to be getting rid of Pirates League. That's probably where that's going to go if I'm a Batman.
That's exactly where I think it's going to go.
Yeah.
It makes sense. It's front viewing. It's right off the store. Shopping and drinking.
Hopefully it'll have the Blue Bayou vibe. Like, I love that about Disneyland, is just sitting and eating at Blue Bayou, watching the boats go by.
If you look at the pictures of what it seems to look like, though, it actually looks like a lounge version of the ride. Like, they have little elements of here. Like, they have like a pirate up on the ceiling with his hairy foot hanging down. Like, they have like, I feel like they got such a good response from people wanting like the Haunted Mansion parlor on like the cruise ships. And like they kind of took that and were like, oh, just make it themed after the ride they just got off of, but they can just like chill for a little while and really enjoy it. And the same thing with Spaceship Earth. Like, I think that's what they were thinking of, is just playing to this crowd of Disney adults, essentially.
Yeah. Look at that. Look at that light in the center. It's a giant anchor.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
That looks really cool. I'm really excited about this. So,
and I'm sure they're going to have rum in there. So,
of course,
I will not be heartbroken if they do. I will not be heartbroken. I'm just putting it out there.
Briefly speaking about, we don't have too many details about this, but the Disney Cruise Line fleet, another bombshell that no one was expecting is that they're expanding it by 4 more ships on top of what they've already announced, which these 4 ships have to be like a new class, right? Like the Wish and Treasure and Destiny, they're a class. This has to be like, it's going to be different. I feel like these new 4, but
they'd be bigger. Why would they not be?
They can be bigger.
A new class, bigger.
It's got to be bigger.
Bigger? Oh, wow.
They're selling out the Wish and Treasure for like every sailing. Like, how could they not? So
doesn't that make it 13 ships?
Yes. They went from 4 to 13, I feel like, in no time. Like, that's insane.
And Disney and just my travel agent hot take, nothing beats the class. You think you'll enjoy a Disney World or Disneyland vacation? Disney Cruise Line is top notch. Probably the only cruise I will ever go on.
I'm hoping with 13 ships, this is my travel agent want, not my Disney nerd want, but my travel agent want is I hope that they're more in line with maybe Royal Caribbean pricing for some of the older ships, I mean, kind of cool. I have a lot of families, unfortunately, that, Disney is definitely not the cheapest cruise line out there. Right. Don't get me wrong. Once you get on that ship, it's worth it. Every penny that you spend, it's a blast. But getting people on that ship to spend that money has been tough for me as an agent sometimes. Even though I do a lot of cruises, I'm successful with it. I have a lot of families that just can't afford it. So I'm kind of hoping, Magic Wonder, maybe even Dream Fantasy can become a little bit more economical since they have this gigantic fleet now. But that's a want. So if you guys are watching from Disney Cruise Line, please.
I could see them coming out with
our prayer.
I could see them coming out with like more promos, like for those ships, like to fill them up. Because right now your choice, because right now you have a choice of 7 technically, since the Destiny just started booking, but and so when you get double that, I could see them offering promos for some of the older ones.
Yeah, it'd be crazy. But if John, you want to buzz through them really quick, I can go through them just to kind of get them out there. But the international parks announced quite a few things as well. The first one that really kind of came to mind to me is Zootopia is getting a land over there, and I don't I don't remember if they said Shanghai or Hong Kong, but they're going to have a Zootopia land.
Whichever one doesn't already have it.
Yeah, exactly. They also announced, let's see here, Shanghai Disneyland's getting a Spider-Man roller coaster.
Yes.
Cool.
Like
That one
I
looks
saw
pretty
that
cool.
and I'm like, yes. Like,
Yeah, that one looks pretty cool. And then I think it was Hong Kong Disneyland's getting a Spider-Man attraction. I don't know exactly what that's going to be like. Disneyland Paris is going to have a new 360 nighttime show coming to Disneyland Paris. What else did I write down here? Frozen Land's opening in 2026 in Paris, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was it Paris? Yep. And then
yeah, that's what Frozen Land is.
And then
Lion King's land in Paris. Yeah.
Yep, Lion King land in Paris. And I think that was it. Did I miss anything?
No,
I think that was it for the international part.
I think that covers it.
That's it. Yeah. So those are all the announcements from parks and attractions, and we actually touched on cruise line there. There was obviously a ton more stuff that was covered in D23 from the entertainment side, but we're kind of like,
oh my gosh, so many. Can I just tell you, one of my favorite parts of the whole D23 was when they had Patrick Warburton come out and do his spiel and then expound on it. And the hat guy was the guy.
Same guy.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I would have loved it if they would have brought the kid back. That nice work, pal, and see how old he is. But yeah, I love how they expounded
25 years old.
Yeah.
I love how they expounded on all of his things, and they use current devices and all that stuff.
That was really the best. That was so good.
Real quickly before we wrap up, anything that they did not announce that you were disappointed in?
It's hard to say I was disappointed with anything, you know.
Yeah, I was just happy with all the stuff that they did announce. I'm like, if they're going to be this proactive, I guess, with competing with Universal, I can see just new things every year. They're going to have plans. They're going to have plans every year with new stuff. And I'm sure they didn't want to just like go, okay, we can't, give all of our secrets. Let's hold back for some great stuff. But I can see lots of good stuff coming in the future.
There was a part of me that thought that Villains Land might actually be a Villains Park,
Same.
Because Disney definitely has the room for it, just to give them that 2-park lead over Universal,
Agreed.
But this is the next best thing, having a land. But with that being said, I do think a 5th park is in the future for Disney. They have enough land, and I think they want to stay competitive with Universal. So you think about it, there's just 1 park behind us now. Yeah. But what would that 5th park now be with the Villains Land coming? Because that's what made sense to me, a Villains Park.
Yeah, I agree with you.
So that kind of changed that. I wouldn't say a disappointment, John, that I didn't announce, but that's one thing I would challenge people to think about is if they do a 5th park, now what is it going to be about? Because to me, that was a knockout of the, park home run type idea for the Villains. And now that's been changed into a land at Magic Kingdom.
If anything, I kind of wanted, this was kind of the thing that I was left disappointed in. I didn't think there needs to be, I really want them to bring Big Thunder to the level that Disneyland is. And I was kind of hoping that, but with everything going on, I don't think they can afford to knock it down that quickly. So
wait till someday when you ride Big Thunder in Paris. That's even better than Disneyland.
Oh man.
I wonder if these giant lands that they are doing at the international parks, like Frozen Land, like Zootopia, I wonder if they are going to do a Disney-fied version of what Epic Universe is, with different portals into different areas. Like for a 5th park, like it might not be like a Villains Land, right? But it might be like something where they just have different, elements of Disney, like in throughout a park somehow. But I don't know.
You know what I just realized too?
Sorry.
I was going to go ahead, Alyssa. Finish your thought.
No, I was just gonna say I feel like they have pleasantly surprised us with how much they came up with in 2 years. And I'm sure these have been brewing for more than 2 years, but to make it actually all official, so they have to be in the works for the 5th park, and they just are trying to get everything put together before they make the announcement. So
and we got to reiterate, this was not blue sky ideas. This is all stuff that's happening, you know.
Yeah.
But looking at this list, the one thing I do realize, I just realized that there wasn't one announcement for Tokyo, for Japan. And I know that's a little bit different with the ownership there. You know, maybe that's why they seem to
Tokyo
only do
has a
kind of
lot
announcements and
though.
things on their
Like
own.
Tokyo,
They do.
They have a lot. They've gotten a lot of the attention the last couple of years. Us people in the States need some love. So I will stand by that statement, man. Us Americans, we like it's great you have all that fun stuff over here,
but we need some love.
We need some attention.
Guys, we did it all in an hour. I'm impressed. I didn't think we were going to make an hour, but we still got it. We got to everything in 1 hour.
Good job. High five, everybody.
So, Alyssa, we will miss you, but we're in great hands with Jen. So, best of luck.
Thanks.
You know, so
I'll be back.
Next time we see Alyssa, she'll have a new Disney fan with us.
Yes.
Ooh, maybe she'll make an appearance. I have so many Disney clothes for her. So
awesome.
maybe she will come on.
Yeah. So we're looking forward to it. And she already probably has her first Bippity Boppity boutique appointment made. So
she can get her one piece of hair done. So.
She'll be the little boo.
Yeah.
Oh, cute.
So for Jen, for Jeff, and Alyssa, I'm John. We'll see you next time. Have a great week.
Bye.
Take care.